Hey friends, I am super excited about this project today. I used one of the chunky wood eggs from Dollar Tree to make this really cute Easter bunny. I think he turned out so cute, so let's get started, all right? So here's the chunky wood egg, and I'm using off-white chenille yarn, the thick and chunky chenille yarn from Hobby Lobby. I've used this on a few projects. I have so much fun with this. But I started in the back at the bottom and just gluing around row by row. And I actually glue most of it because, sometimes the rows will move and I didn't want any of the board to show through my rows. And so most of it is glued, so it's a process. As you get to the middle, I can wrap it around a few times without gluing, but on the parts that taper down or taper up, the rows will move if you don't reinforce them with glue. So most of it is glued on, and I think it's actually kind of therapeutic. It's fun to do. So as you can see, I'm just gluing little by little, laying the yarn down, gluing some more, and it takes a minute. That's okay. And like I said, the middle was much easier and quicker because you can wrap a few rows around without gluing. But I wanted my rows to look straight and full. I noticed in the back they got a little off kilter. They weren't as straight, but the main thing I wanted was the front, to have my rows straight. So it turned out really well. And I probably showed too much of this process because you can see what I'm doing. I probably should have cut this part a little shorter. But I love this yarn. You can see already how cute it's going to be. And I love those chunky eggs. If your Dollar Tree has any, grab them. I haven't seen any at the 4 Dollar Trees we have in our town here in Idaho Falls, Idaho. But my husband and I went to Utah last weekend, and I was happy to see some in a Dollar Tree there, so I grabbed 4. I kind of wish I would have grabbed more because, these can be used for so many things, not just Easter. So, yeah, I wish I would have grabbed more. So I'm hoping my Dollar Trees here still get some in. I grabbed some of the bunnies too. So cute. So you can see I've got one more row to go, so I just cut it off and I'll stick a lot of glue in there and just finish that off. Tuck in the end so it doesn't show. And these chunky eggs stand up fairly well on their own, but with this yarn and fur, it kind of makes it wobble a little bit. So I'm trimming the bottom a little bit, making it a little bit more flat. And you'll see at the very end how I fix that. So I'm grabbing 2 tiny little wood biscuits that I have in my stash. I think I got these a long time ago on Temu, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm just using my Bedham acrylic paint markers, and I'm painting those completely, the top all black. And this is actually acrylic paint, but in a marker. And they're just so great for small little things like this. I love them. These and my Posca markers are just fabulous. So I've got this little wood heart, so I'm using the pink Bedham marker and giving him a pink nose. And just like acrylic paint, sometimes they need a second coat. So after that dries a little bit, I go over it a little bit more. So I'm using the white and giving a couple dots in each eye. And I kind of didn't like the way these turned out. So off camera, I fill it back in with the black paint marker. And then I will use my white Posca marker to do some dots in the eye. And you can see I'm giving a second coat on the nose there. So I've got some rusty wire, and it just happened to have just enough, perfect amount left, so I'm wrapping this around my paintbrush wood dowel part. And then I'm pulling that off and spreading it clear out, and I will cut that into 4 pieces, and that's going to be his whiskers. So I cut it in half, and then I cut each of those pieces in half. These are my wire cutters that work great. I got these on Amazon. I thought I better stand up and lighten his nose just a little bit. Just using my little mini gator sander. This is my desktop vacuum cleaner, and it gets all the sawdust and paint particles and little fuzzles and things like that that are always all over our craft tables. So now I'm just trying to decide where I want to put his nose and everything. Then I'm just going to hot glue it on, and then hot glue his whiskers just slightly under his nose one at a time. And I think that looks so cute as his nose. Decided it needed a little white, so I'm just doing some random dots along a couple edges. And here's where I'm redoing the white dots in his eyes. Trying to make them both match. Let those dry, and I'll stick glue in the whiskers. It's kind of hard to make sure I get enough glue on the whiskers to hold it in. One more to go. If I would have had more rusty wire, I may have put 3 on each side, but this works, I think. This is it's really thin paper covered floral wire, and so I'm just cutting a piece and bending it in half, and then I'm going to curl each side piece up slightly. I'm making the line down from his nose and then his mouth. So I will glue that top part under his nose, and then just kind of bend the other parts where I need them, and then later on in the video I do glue those down a little bit more. So now I'm going to glue his little eyes on there. Kind of putting them close together just above his nose. And I knew he needed some eyebrows, so eventually later in the video I will use that same paper covered wire and give him some little eyebrows. And this is where I'm putting a little bit of glue underneath each of those wires of the mouth. So I'm putting some on just a scrap piece of floral wire, and then just putting just a little amount on each of those curls. Now these are bunny ears that I made last year, so I'm going to use them, but I want to tell you how I made them. I used the jute twine covered wire that you get at Dollar Tree, and you just form the shape of your ear and glue that onto your burlap ribbon, and then once it's dry, then you just cut around it and cut that excess burlap ribbon off. And so you just form the shape of the ear. So here I'm bending the end, and I'm going to glue them on really well, and then when the glue sets, I'm going to use my staple gun and staple them in really well. So I'm just doing one ear at a time and just gluing it in really well. Here I'm stapling it. thought I was on camera a little bit better. You can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just stapling it right into that wood. Now I'll do the same thing with the second ear. So I just have to hold it in place while the glue dries. And then I stapled that one on as well. So here I'm getting two pieces the same size, and I'm going to glue those on the same way as I did the mouth. Oh, pardon me, no I'm not. I got this new tacky glue pen, and this has been great. I love having this. It's got to have eyebrows, right? I thought that made a big difference. So now I get to play with them and start making the bow. So I'm going to use my mini bow dabber. I'm putting a long piece of twine down the center of it. And I was going back and forth trying to decide how I want to do this. I wanted to use this burlap ribbon that I had, but it's mostly curling up. So I just got one of the flatter pieces, and I'm just setting that in the bottom to begin with. And then I got some strips of fabric that I tore off. I got this cottony fabric at Hobby Lobby. Just tore off strips. And I had some just kind of different kind of cords and things that I wanted to put in just for some variety. I'm using more fabric again. I have these really thin pieces of twine that I pull out of that burlap ribbon that I showed you earlier. So I just save those when I have them. It's like a really thin twine. And I like the texture and the just the look that it gives my bows. Putting in a little bit more of that cotton cream color fabric. Then I have this ribbon that I got in a just kind of a random bundle pack at Hobby Lobby. It's kind of a pale yellow. So then I'm bringing those ends of the twine up and tying them in a tight knot in the center. And then I will tie a bow and leave it there. Now I got to arrange and fluff and put the ribbons and loops where I want them. Had to make sure this is what the look I was going for. And I first thought I was going to use some Excelsior, but I kind of changed my mind and didn't use that after all. I still could add it if I changed my mind, but here I decided not to. I'm just going to add the bow and then add some greenery and stuff to it. So I glued it on right in the center. I'm just holding it snugly there and arranging it while the glue sets. Now I've got lots of trimming to do. I thought this looked really cute. I'm not done yet, but the bow really makes it. He's looking pretty cute, or she. I just felt like it needed some greenery. Got these sprigs of greenery at Hobby Lobby today, so I'm just cutting off pieces. Just kind of sticking it in there, and I'm sorry I'm off camera. When I'm working with a taller item, it's hard to get it in my camera screen, so I apologize. I'm just doing one sprig at a time and kind of sticking it back in front of the ears but behind the bow. And I think that looks so cute. So I decided it needed a little bit more greenery. So cut off a couple more sprigs, and I try to make them, angle at the right angle and match both sides. Kind of funny that way. So I'm just kind of sticking it in underneath the greenery that's already there. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Makes it look a little more full. I got this lot of buttons on Amazon, and it was a 200 button lot. And there's so many unique buttons, vintage buttons, that I've had so much fun with these. And on a couple of my recent projects, I use buttons all the time. One of my followers has suggested twice that I thread my buttons. And I have in a couple projects, but most of the time I don't. But I do agree with her. I think it just finishes it off and makes it look a little more finished. So this button had 4 holes, so I'm threading it in and out, tying it in a knot at the top, and then tying it in a teeny tiny bow. And then I will glue that right in the center of the bow on the bunny. But it definitely just does look more finished. So I appreciate her comments and suggestions. That really does look really cute. And last but not least, I'm going to use one of my little tags I've printed off. This says hop. So I'm distressing the edges with my Tim Holtz Distress ink and a foam dauber, just going all the way around. Just makes it look a little more weathered and vintage. Then I'm using my twine and sticking a loop through, and then I pull those tails through the loop and pull it snugly. Now I'm just kind of measuring how long I need it, and I'm going to glue that twine underneath the bow and greenery and kind of have it hanging down to the side of her head. And I think that makes it look so, so cute. Now I thought I was done, but she just wasn't standing up as well as I wanted her to. And I had these 3-inch little wood hearts. And so I'm painting the front and the edge just in regular white crafter's paint from Hobby Lobby. And this paint is usually, it's good, but it's not as good as the other name brands like Folk Art and all those. So it does need 2 coats. So I do put 2 coats on this. As you can see, I'm not painting the back of it because it won't show, and that's where I'm going to glue. But my idea is to make it look like her little feet. And so I'm painting the front, and then I'll stick them right next to each other, line them up just straight. And I'm putting a layer of my tacky glue and then a bunch of hot glue. And I will set her down. And some of the glue went down on my paper, and that's okay. But anyway, she turned out cute, and I'm glad it worked out, and she stands up perfectly. Hope this inspires you to make something similar. This was so fun, and I think she's so sweet. Thanks for watching, and you have a whimsical day.